We asked you about what would happen to the EPPs, but what happens to the EPPs happens to the smaller blips as well. In particular, adding curare to the prep completely abolishes the blips, while adding neostigmine makes the blips larger in both amplitude and duration. The fact that these drugs can modulate the occurrence of these small blips provides critical clues to their underlying mechanism. Because these blips looked like smaller versions of the end plate potentials that he was able to evoke by stimulating the presynaptic fiber, Katz called these blips miniature EPPs, which we also sometimes simply call minis. Where do these minis come from? In previous segments, we learned how a presynaptic action potential causes neurotransmitter to be released, which in turn activates receptors on the postsynaptic side. Minis occur in the absence of stimulation. Why would this happen? To understand why, we need to remember that at the scale of molecules and receptors, biological systems rarely operate in absolute terms, but are instead governed by probabilities. When the presynaptic neuron is stimulated, the probability of releasing neurotransmitters increases. But even when the presynaptic terminal hasn't been stimulated, there's still some small probability that it will release signaling molecules into the synaptic cleft, and the minis are caused by these random releases. There's still quite a bit more to the story. You see, activating an individual acetylcholine receptor can't generate a postsynaptic potential of the magnitude we observe with the minis. So the minis must represent the release of many acetylcholine receptors activated together. Katz observed another curious fact about the minis. They were all roughly the same amplitude. This by itself is a curious fact. If neurotransmitter molecules were released continuously in the synapse, we'd expect a continuously varying postsynaptic potential as different numbers of neurotransmitter molecules randomly found their way into the end plate. Or at least, we'd expect the minis to vary in amplitude more than they do. Fully figuring out this mystery would require a bit more groundwork by Katz.